Welcome to the Ugly Bug Podcast, a production of the Ugly Bug Fly Shop and Crazy Rainbow Fly Fishing.
Welcome to the Ugly Bug Podcast. On today's episode, we sit down with Braden Miller with Miller Time Flies and a young fishing guide that was fortunate enough or has been on a fun traveling adventure throughout the West and is getting some fun fishing in. We were lucky enough to sit down, spend a little time with him. Let's start by taking a step away for a quick word from our sponsors.
The Ugly Bug Podcast is proudly sponsored by Wyoming. Wyoming-rooted fly fishing apparel and accessories challenging the traditional mold, designed by anglers for anglers.
Thanks for joining us. It sounds like you're on a fun little fishing tour.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you've got a couple weeks. You made the journey out west, and sounds like you fished a little bit of Colorado, a little bit of Wyoming. You've jumped around a bit.
Yeah. We started out around the Deckers area, and then fished a little bit of the canyon here and there, and bounced around out here to Wyoming now.
Sweet,
yeah.
Sweet, and you're making the jump back tomorrow. Looking forward to it.
The drive,
yeah.
More like, yeah.
How long is that?
I think if we push it, we can get done about a day and a half, maybe two. But I think it's going to be more like two.
Hopped up on Red Bull and drive like mad.
Monsters and just
Monster
drive.
energy
Just keep sleeping and swapping out drivers, man.
I like it. So this summer, what were you up to?
Mostly smallmouth guiding and smallmouth fishing. I didn't do a ton of snakehead stuff like I have in the past. Mm-hmm. Carp. I've been enjoying lots of carp like last year as well. But other than that, I just haven't been doing a ton of snakehead stuff or any red fishing. Not a ton of salt this summer, but that's coming up soon. But yeah, I've just been enjoying smallmouth fishing and taking other people fishing.
And just the smallmouth stuff, are you doing that by boat, or are you guys wade fishing them, or?
There are some spots you can wade fish, especially around like Richmond and all that. Mm-hmm. Not really guiding any of that stuff, but running rafts, whether larger or smaller rafts. Certain rivers you can run hard holes on, but most of our stuff is a raft game.
Yeah.
So.
And were you guiding this summer, or just helping out a bit? Yeah, you were guiding a bunch.
Yeah, I was helping out, guiding my buddy Austin, picking up extra trips, and then also just trying to basically grow a book for myself here in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, just working on that and trying to get that up and growing.
Cool. Have you dove into purchasing multiple boats yet?
I have a Smith Fly raft. Thinking of expanding to another model soon. Not a Smith Fly, but maybe a Stealth Craft and one of the Hooligan models, and then not guiding out a skiff yet, or any, I guess you could say, motor vehicle,
right?
Or vehicle vessel, yeah. But getting the captain's license so can expand onto that.
Sweet. What's the captain's license entail other than some tests?
Man, like I haven't studied this hard, and it's been some years. I mean, I've been doing the online high school stuff, so I can obviously travel and fish and guide now. But it's been a lot of studying and tests now. So I got 2 more tests I got to finish up and good to go.
How many tests is that in total that you have to jump through?
Believe it's at least 4, but it might be 5. I think it's 4 though.
Okay. And they progressively get harder, I assume.
Or
they
I think you can take them whenever, like whichever. For me, I was given the option to do whichever ones I wanted to do at certain times. So I've got the last 2 rules of the road, and I got the old chart plotting left. Yeah. So that's the fun one.
Yeah, that's the fun one. Yeah. It's always the procrastination of putting the hardest one till the end.
Unfortunately, I did that. I should have, like always, done it the opposite way.
No, not necessarily. I'd have done the same, right? It's kind of generally the way fishermen probably do it, right? It makes more sense that way.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
save the hard one to winter, right? Yeah. When you can focus on it a little more. So the smallmouth stuff that you guys, is that mostly streamer-based stuff that you're focusing with, or do you
Depends. Not only conditions, but certain time of year. Like in the spring, we have our pre-spawn stuff. They're hardcore on bait fish, and you can get some later in the spring on top water, but most of it's a intermediate sink tip game and running, changers and other streamers, swim flies like swinging D's, and some gallop stuff as well. That's probably my favorite, other than straight bug fishing form, like we've been doing recently in the summertime. We got our cicadas that, drop out of trees coming into October in the fall months and all that. And smallmouth on cicadas are a lot of fun. Been missing that actually for the past 2 weeks now.
Right.
But, trout are cool. I like them.
Yeah.
And then, the dog days of summer with top water for smallmouth it's a lot of fun. You can still throw streamers. Most of it's not big stuff, unless we get a pretty drastic change in river conditions. Recently it's been low clear back in Virginia and finally started getting some bump and flows and got the rivers back up. The Shenandoah and other rivers at the lowest they've been in historic times. I'm not sure how long it's been since they've been this low.
When they're low and clean, the fish just get buggier and buggier?
It comes a lot. The big fish obviously get a little bit finickier, but like watching a big fish cruise up off the bank, if you can play the finesse game right with a big smallmouth, it's a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. What's a big smallmouth?
Everybody's looking for
Relative.
20.
Yeah.
20 is definitely 20 plus is anything over 20 is a giant. 20 is a big one, really big one. But, if you get 16 to 17, 18-inch smallmouth, it's still nice. It's a really nice smallmouth.
Yeah.
But 20 is definitely
the golden mark.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you throw in 6 weights, 7 weights, or
5s to 6s for those more finesse terrestrial patterns, like anything from grasshopper patterns to wigglies. Wigglies are been a big thing for our summer stuff recently. Boogle bugs as well, but mostly like a 7 weight for poppers or anything like that. And then streamer stuff. 7 weight's probably my favorite smallmouth rod.
Right. And then I assume you throwing 7 weight for carp, or are you going bigger than that with the carp stuff you're doing?
Depends on what structure I'm around for the carp. I'm around a lot of log jam stuff. I'll bump up to like a 7, maybe an 8, but I really like a 6 weight, honestly. But 7 weight's not a bad option to go for all around.
Cool. The carp you guys are chasing, are they all commons, or do you get some mirrors in there as well? Or?
Most are commons.
Okay.
Different waterways you can find the occasional grass carp, but if you can find a mirror, that's pretty special for us. Talking to Dustin, sounds like y'all have a lot of mirror carp out here, but on average, you're going to find common carp for us. Yeah.
And you guys have a little more food source based stuff than our carp here, they're pretty crawfish heavy, right? That's really their main diet. They eat some damsels and dragons, but we don't have the berry bush stuff. We don't have that much cotton. Or your carp kind of all over the map as far as food source, or?
Definitely seems like certain times of the year they're eating different things. All year long I've caught them on, worm patterns. Heck, I've had them on squirmy worms before. But a lot of crawfish stuff, small though. Nothing too big. Small clawdads and just, random stuff I tie up. Caught some on mulberry stuff this year, but nothing too crazy. It was a very short period that I found them on that. And then we had our cottonwood seeds for a short amount of time as well.
Yeah.
So
and those carp in river systems, are you fishing them in lakes usually, or?
There's a lot of lake fishing for them as well, but that mostly cicada stuff for them in the lakes is what I've seen. I don't do a ton of lake fishing for them. Brood was pretty crazy for them in the lakes. But all my stuff for them is all river based, whether we're smallmouth fishing. A lot of our smallmouth rivers have, a ton of carp in them. And a lot of times they're the bigger carp that I've found, but I've got some smaller systems that aren't pressured as much, and the carp are a lot happier, so you can get numbers instead of size over some other systems.
Will the smallies hang out with the carp, same run?
Actually, yeah.
Co-mingle?
I have seen them following the schools around, especially in the wintertime. When the carp are all schooled up, I think they're just rooting around and spooking crawdads and everything else out and A lot of the big smallmouth follow them around, it seems like, in the wintertime.
Permit following a stingray around sort of thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I've seen trout do it from time to time, but I don't know if the trout's brain's too small to figure it out that routinely that's a great food source, but I'm sure it is, right? You get those big schools moving around. What you got planned, like fishing in the future coming up here? You got anything like pre-scheduled, ready to go, or?
Yeah, so coming up first week of October, going down North Carolina. I'll be down there October through November. Might be a little bit into December, but that'll be mixed up with some musky stuff if I wanted to. But October through November, I'll be down there helping Jake Jordan guiding for albies and bull reds in the ocean as well.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. That's some of my favorite fishing I've done in mating form in the past 3 years now. So I'll be jumping in and helping out a lot down there this year.
Are most of those trips designed for the albies, or is it more to chase the redfish? Or
you can definitely prioritize the redfish, but on average, I mean, you're going to catch albies if you're going for reds regardless. I mean, it's pretty hard to pass up a pod unless you're hardcore on the reds.
Right.
The reds don't always show up, and it can be a pretty hit or miss thing sometimes, and sometimes they're just hard to miss. I mean, they can be everywhere. I think a lot of it's going to be, condition based like it's been in the past.
Yeah.
Certain winds and certain conditions where the bait are positioned along the coast and whatnot, and also inside the estuaries when they're getting dumped out by the tide is going to affect it like it has in the past.
Yeah.
But, I mean, albies, they can be pretty predictable sometimes, and other times they're just nowhere to be seen.
Yeah. The reds, do they tend to move in and out more with like cold fronts and that sort of stuff as well, or?
Actually, seems like they eat the best on like just nasty conditions, man. Like if you're getting hurt and beat up while you're running to try to catch them, it seems like the fishing for them gets a lot better and better.
That's unique.
Yeah, and the albies, I mean, albies love rough weather from what I've seen in the past and what I've always seen while fishing for them. It's just seems like the rougher it is, both those fish like it. But I mean, if you can get a north wind blowing in towards Atlantic Beach, expect albies all along the coast. It's pretty fun.
What's the main forage?
A lot of bay anchovies, but it changes as the year goes on. Later in the year, you'll get larger bait, so bay anchovies and spearing and whatnot. But earlier in the year, you can get a lot of called snot bait, just real small, fine minnows. I mean, pretty hard to replicate them with a fly, but you can throw some really small dubbing patterns for them. And I mean, sometimes they go ham on it, and other times they just won't even look at it.
Well, yeah. That anchovy stuff, do you tie a fair bit of streamers that kind of replicate? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You don't have to tie super complicated stuff for them. I mean, they'll eat surf candies and all that, obviously. I mean, it's what the fly was designed for, I believe, originally. But, I mean, small, like, laser dub patterns and all that with eyes, and then just running them with UV resin. Just super simple stuff that you can bang out, and then clousers, of course. I mean, it's pretty hard to get a saltwater fish without a clouser.
Right. Are you guys fishing those on sink tips stuff, or is it?
Actually, a lot of floating lines. Floating lines, just standard 9-foot leader, straight 20-pound or 20-pound to 30. And, I mean, downsizing if they're getting a little picky. But, I mean, I like fishing with straight 30, too, because you can just lock the drag down and wolf them up.
Hammer on them.
Oh, yeah.
I like it. Clamping down on them a bit. What's your go-to reel?
Go-to reel?
You have one?
Yeah.
You fishing Makos?
Yeah. It's pretty hard to go wrong with the Mako. Yeah. So for albies, like a Mako 9500, but you don't need a Mako for an albie.
No.
You can get by with Beef KSD. Orvis makes a couple great reels as well for them. I mean, you can get away for albies with some decent reels.
Pretty fun to clamp down on a Mako though.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
I just recently got back from Christmas Island. We fished a few Makos down there, and it was very nice to have them with some of those bigger GTs, right? To get all the way to 100% drag in one turn, and
they're
you can get there quick. Yeah, and definitely a work of art. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're spot on with. There's a lot of good reels out there, but
I don't think any of them come. I mean, Siegler. Other than a Mako, I mean, Siegler is probably the closest thing that I've found that. I mean, the drag power.
Yeah. Have you messed with the Shiltons at all?
I haven't. No.
Yeah, they're pretty gangbuster as well. They're an old school cork drag system, but
Okay.
remote locations, they love them just because they can still work on them and fix them versus a sealed system that obviously, if you're in the middle of the Seychelles, you can't really figure that one out, right?
Yeah, you'll be screwed.
Yeah. The Shiltons are really, I think it's like Mako, Shilton, I think the new Hardy reel, like Alphonse is endorsed, but like I think it's pretty much those two brands that they're asking you to bring down.
Yeah.
They don't want, just in case they got to repair it, they've got parts and pieces and things that they can do to get it back to functional if it happens to get messed up, right? So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've messed around with Sieglers, messed around with Makos, Nautilus I've messed around with, TFO of course, Orvis reels. I mean,
Yeah.
number of brands, but top two for me have been Mako and Siegler.
Yeah. What kind of rod? I mean, what weight rod are you guys running for the big bull reds and the Albie stuff?
For Albie's, my favorite's a 9 weight. 9, you can use a 10. If you really want to get down with them, I guess you can use an 11. Later in the season, you'll get your Buffalo Albies, so real big ones, up to 20 plus pounds sometimes. Those are going to be you definitely want probably a 10, 11. I mean, if you can, 12, I guess. But
Right.
I mean, you can get away with the 10 weight pretty much for all that. The drum, I prefer 12, but I mean, 12 to 10 weight, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Fighting them, not really with the rod, just using the reel. I mean, I'm not using the rod, I'll straight rod them and then using the drag.
Yeah. Do those casts have to be pretty far generally? I mean, assume you're moving the bait pretty quick once it hits the water.
Yeah, depends. For Albies, I mean, you can have them when they pin the bait right up to the boat. I've caught them and just dropping the fly in the water and they come by and sweep it up. But I've also had them, get them what they're called sippers. I mean, they're just not a ton of bait around, not a whole lot of, tide or wind moving anything around. And they're just coming up eating a bait or two. And you've got to get your fly in there, whether it's 20 feet away or 60, 70 feet away and within seconds, or you're not going to get your fish. But I mean, on average, you get a nice pot of bait up or bait ball up, and then you got a pot of Albies working on them. You get probably a minute to enough time to get a 30, 40, 50, 60 foot shot at them.
Right. What kind of boat are you guys running for that?
It's a 20 foot, 21 foot Jones Brother Marine.
Okay.
Designed down there for that area specifically. Great boat.
So is the casting deck in the front, is it pretty deep? Or, yeah.
Yeah, so you're not going to get thrown off or anything.
Right.
You don't have to worry. You can lean right into the rail. And I've been on other boats where, you got to step up onto a deck and, you got seas, you're sloshing around, you're lying all around your feet. You don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah. Do you guys run a line tangler pad or anything on the floor to help? Don't probably need
Not
too
really.
much. Yeah.
You can bring a stripping basket if you wanted to, but most of the time, not really. I mean, not getting tangled up really unless you're, scraping your feet on it, twisting the line up.
Stepping inside of it.
But
yeah.
Other than that, no.
I saw SA just recently released like some crescent moon discs, basically, right? That are much like the Carbon Marine, but seem to be like a third of the price. And
Yeah, that's
I was
nice.
like, those would be pretty handy, right? Yeah. I can think of a few of my boats. Those would be pretty nice on.
Oh, yeah. Whether it's on the skiff or, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, helping keep things straight. It's amazing when you hook those fish, like how that line is stacked at times and making sure your feet are clear and, not wrapped around the reel.
Heck, I had one with the trout the other day. Like, I hadn't had it happen to anything really in freshwater than the carp. And, saltwater, you get a little bit of tension as the line shoot through. It's like spaghetti going everywhere, man.
It's flying. Yeah, it's flying. And it's at times you just feel hopeless. You see it like wrap around the back of the reel, and you're just like, I got schooled on that one. Yeah, but it's a lot of fun. So other than captain's license, guide license stuff, is that really after you're done in November, is that kind of focus on school for a bit and get things hammered out there, and then get to it again next year? You got a little.
Not quite.
Working
on school, like around everything else. Obviously, school is important. I'm working on it, before everything else. I mean, that's the main thing. I need to get finished and get knocked out. But I mean, I'm 90% of the way already finished with all my high school stuff. So I'm just I'm able to do that online. Guess it's I'm able to take my time and do it whenever I want, wherever, as long as I have, internet, of course.
Sure.
I've just been taking my time on it, and obviously I'm going to get it done before, I'm
before
just straggling out.
Yeah.
Like, that would be pretty sad, But, yeah, after October, November, go into, I have the option, I can still run Albion drum stuff in December, but sometimes weather can get a little hairy and like stay nasty for a while, but I already have some muskie dates already drilled out for December. So all that, I already have that lined out, and I'll just work around those dates. Whether North Carolina has some good weather, but if not, I'll just stick with the muskie and winter smallmouth stuff from there. And then going out of December, I've got some stuff like fly shows and all that coming up. Not doing as many as I've done in the past, but doing the International Fly Tying Symposium, and then also got something already lined up for Schultz's. It's called Bob in the Hood or something like that.
Cool.
Where a bunch of tires and everybody, some people in the industry show up, tie.
Sweet.
So
where's the Fly Tying Symposium at this year?
That is in Jersey.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly where.
Yeah.
I don't know. The venue's moved probably 2 or 3 times now in the past couple of years, so
right.
I'm not exactly sure.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you done one of those before?
The symposium I've done in the past, yeah.
Okay.
It's honestly, it's one of my favorite shows. I'm supposed to be doing a couple classes and then also feature tire stuff, so be fun. Yeah.
Sweet. You got any new patterns you've been messing with, or you kind of take a step back from that for a little bit?
Not a ton recently. I haven't been messing around with anything crazy. Just a few like kind of simple guidish patterns. Just get some simple stuff knocked out, fill the box.
Yep, fill the box.
But just game changer patterns.
Yeah.
Depends on the scenarios and all that. But other than that, just changers, man.
Yeah. Have you tried, I haven't seen anyone try it yet, use the new lips on a changer? The plastic lips. You gotten into that program?
I haven't. Not on changers. I used them in the past on some. I mean, it's been a long time. It's been a few years for me since I've used them. But I mean, there was some stuff that I had to work for them, but I haven't used them in at least 3 years now.
Yeah. Hairline, I think it did an update to their newest one, and it's kind of got me intrigued to try to, I don't know, probably just make it look like a rainbow trout with whirling disease, tied in crooked. It just keeps spinning a circle or something, but who knows, it might work. So,
I mean, it's something different. They probably don't see it a lot, so.
Yeah. Still doing stuff with TFO. You going to help them out with any shows this upcoming season?
Yeah, should be at, I guess it's the, dude, I get so mixed up with there's so many shows now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not doing anything out west this year. No Colorado show, no California show. Just sticking to a few of the basic shows like the Edison show.
Yeah.
Might help out with a few here and there.
Right.
But other than that, just trying to focus on
working
and school, and then
awesome,
make money somehow.
Awesome. And then as far as fun travel plans, you got anything else? Sounds like you're working quite a bit. Obviously, school.
Supposed to be doing another trip with my family up to Pennsylvania, Ohio for Lake Run, Steelhead and the Rainbows, and then the other than that, my Florida next spring.
Yeah,
this upcoming spring. So,
yeah.
Yep. And then North Carolina, we normally do a family trip, but I'll be down there already.
Yeah, you'll beat them there. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, and travel safe on the way home. Hopefully, we'll see you back out here in Wyoming shortly.
Yeah, awesome. Try to. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Ugly Bug Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you have questions or feedback, reach out to us via email at info@uglybugpodcast.com or leave a comment on our social networks.